How's it going? One last, I say last tidbit of nugget, mostly because I kind of understand it's always about repetition, and basically what's coming in is just a refinement of what it is. And eventually I'm starting to notice like a shift towards just different projects in a way. It's interesting. This whole channeling thing has been like one heck of a journey, and I'm really glad for the whole situation because it's insights and shit like that just popping in, and it's as if I was able to lay down a general technique, and the rest is going to be refinement. And whenever there's going to be like something new, like something that will help me just set up a visualization in an easier way so that more people can kind of understand this. Like I'm trying to refine the aspect of the hard drive analogy so that people can kind of get this connection to it. But at the same time, it's like I got to understand it all depends on the aspect of focus, and there's so much granularity between our definitions and all, and it takes the time it takes. So it's coming to a point where it's like, okay, everything's kind of been laid down. I think this is the last bit of nugget just to get things sure, and maybe even make a couple of parodies, just or explain it in a much more rough way or roughneck way. That was something that kind of just came in because I started. If some people know me on Facebook, I started watching some Vine people like making sketches and comedy, and it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of inspiring. I like this, but that kind of energy, that kind of way of interpretation, it might connect a tad bit more with people. And when I mean roughneck way, I'll basically try it a tad bit in this specific one, not going full roughneck, but it's kind of bringing it in a basic way just to kind of get people outside of their biases in for this sort of things. Mostly because a lot of people might consider this as morals. They might kind of listen to this and think, okay, well, this is morals, or you're trying to teach morals and all that, or trying to teach good, bad, right, wrong, and this is the good that you think it is. And just to clarify, and this is why it's one of those last bits, just to clarify, it ain't fucking morals. It's making sure that you as a person, in a way, throughout your own actions, and it's not necessarily making sure, but it's just having you realize that you don't necessarily want to fuck yourself over with the repetitions that you do. And oftentimes, like, it just passes, sometimes, just like the expression just saying, these stuff and habits, they just kind of pass over our head. We're like, okay, well, it's normal. Yeah, all right, it's normal. It's normal to have a reaction over something online. Oh, it's normal to have a reaction over somebody saying something. And again, when you say, or better yet, okay, whenever people kind of go, oh shit, this was really hard, man. I had a hard time, and this is just, this is really intense. This is really hard, kind of saying this with pride, or an aspect of wanting acknowledgement, and patterns like that, okay, via repetition, oftentimes they're just ignored, okay. And saying that, you kind of want to watch that is not necessarily moral. It's literally whatever you fucking repeat, you literally start heading in that direction. You focus on that. You make it a habit. Oh, it's normal? Yes, because it's been repeated multiple fucking times. And now it's normal to act that way and to feel that way. But here's the thing. You can always switch it. You can always the same process of repetition. If you fully understand that, you're able to just flip it. But it's not an aspect of moral. It's not an aspect of doing the right thing. It's not an aspect of that kind of stuff. It's not like religious creeds and all that. This is literally you having that ability in your hand to either fuck with yourself over, not necessarily knowing it, of course. And I'm using those terms again, roughneck, but I'm using those terms just to tell you, you can literally fuck yourself over by repeating a certain amount of things, or you can just take control of it. But oftentimes, when we don't know, things happen, things fuck up, and then there's blame over everyone else except the conscious control that we had. Like on multiple times, and I'm understanding this balance now. Trying to help certain people that they talk about their problems, but they don't necessarily want an answer. And it's like, well, I just want to vent something out and I'm going to handle that thing later on. And it's like, yes, but when you vent it out, you're repeating your mood, bring it out of your problem, and then double down on the fact that if you're not conscious of it, don't worry. But if you're conscious of it, take in consideration that the karma that you're giving, karma, emotion, the emotion that you're giving, you're feeling it, right? When you're talking in that specific way and you're like, just saying, I just want to vent, you're bring that shit onto the other person, and then that shit spreads. Because the person, depending on the person, some people will just completely ignore you. Like, I'm over that phase to a certain degree. I'm like, okay, I choose my environment, and it's not an aspect of high ground. It's just, that's okay. You're at the point that you're at, yet I don't necessarily want to hear this kind of stuff. It's kind of like telling me, okay, would I want to watch a cool anime where I'm going to get fired up? I'm going to get some aspects of growth because I'll learn some drawing techniques. I'll learn some storytelling techniques. Or am I going to watch TMZ? And am I going to repeat the emotions and the drama that keeps happening over there in my mind? Because as soon as you watch it, your mind starts anchoring. And via repetition, you kind of repeat this kind of shit. It's like you're used to it. But before TMZ, before that kind of stuff, we weren't really used to it. We weren't really used to, some people would want to argue, okay, going into shows like Jerry Springer, okay, go even far back when you didn't have that kind of stuff. You're not used to it. You're having fun. You were focusing on what you were focusing. You were just literally in your period of growth or whatever was happening in your family, or you even go prior to that. Again, blank hard drive. You weren't used to this kind of stuff. It's just watching it and repeating it over and over and over that gets you into the same kind of repetition. So at the same time, why would I want to listen to a person that will talk about their problems but not want to fix them? And then repeat it over and over and over and over, feeling like shit, and then spreading that onto me or anyone else. It's like, well, no, not at all. And it's understandable because we get used to these patterns. It's like, okay, well, I just want to vent. Perfect, understood, but do you want to fix it? If not, then you're repeating it subconsciously. And then guess what? You're going to be in the same situation. It's kind of like staying with the same group of friends that repeat the same thing over and over and over. Depending on the kind of environment you're at, it could be really helpful or it could be total dog shit, And again, it's this unconscious aspect of it, so there's no fault. But you kind of want to put that extra emphasis on calling it what it is, to a certain degree, dog shit. But it isn't dog shit because, unconscious selection. You just kind of want to hammer that in the mind to get, just kind of get yourself to go, okay, well, whoa, I got control over this, and I'm actually feeding myself dog shit, Like, are you going to start watching dramas, online dramas? Are you going to start wasting time with that? Like, there is, and I do fully understand, there is the mind's habit of fight or flight and survival. And it gets a little bit of entertainment from that, But, again, the patterns that you kind of repeat, man, you have conscious control over that, and whatever you listen, whatever you repeat via your words, whatever you fucking watch, whatever you're constantly thinking about, whatever you repeat, you're either fucking yourself over or not. And of course, it's not two general absolutes. There's multiple subjects, but it's just to realize this ain't an aspect of moral of having the higher ground when you're tackling on this work. It's literally, hey buddy, you can choose to eat dog shit or you can have the fine steak. You always had the choice. It just depends what kind of stuff do you repeat to believe yourself that, okay, dog shit is actually the fine steak, and the fine steak, oh, it's outside of my reach. I'm never going to get it. It is too hard. It is too difficult. You see, the mind literally takes that in and makes it, okay, well, this is normal, right? And of course, when you have unconscious pattern or subconscious pattern, it'll take the time it takes. It's just kind of realizing this ain't an aspect of trying to get high ground or whatever. It's you straight up evolving yourself to a point where you don't necessarily consider the not normal as normal in a sense, and even then definition. So let's say you get to a point where you consider that your emotions are literally reflecting what's going on inside of you and what you're going, how you interact outside and what you're projecting outside. So it shows a lot, and you have control over it. It's just taking the time to do so. But understandably, taking the time to do so is not the normal thing that we were kind of taught. We weren't really taught in all those layers. Most of the times, especially when we look back at religion, it's like, okay, well, if you want to have the moral high ground, you're going to have to follow this. And of course, you kind of saw, didn't really work. When you start working for the moral high ground, it's always an aspect of comparison for competition, not comparison for clarity. When you're comparing for clarity, you're like, how is this person so happy? How did he do to be so happy? What are they thinking about to be so happy? You see, you start questioning. You start getting into this as you start being curious. But moral high ground is, okay, I've got the moral high ground, fuck you all, you guys are all dog shit. And it's like, well, that's not helping at all. When it comes to moral high ground, you guys saw that with various groups throughout history, okay? Even the latest ones. It's always about, let me point at the other in order to give myself a high ground. And funny enough, that's kind of like, I want to find a good way to say this. It's kind of like pointing to Jerry Springer while being TMZ. Okay, sure, you're more recent, but you're still not growing. You're still not helping people grow as well as you're not growing yourself. It's a loop effect. It's kind of like going, okay, I'm talking about depression every week, okay? But I feel better than the person that's talking about suicide. Okay, it's a step, but if you're going to stay there just because of moral high ground, you're going to fall yourself over, So it's kind of just making sure that understanding this whole aspect of you not being your brain, because whenever there's this moral high ground is always an aspect of the mind, because you need to compare to another ones or zeros. That's the mind, that's the trophy child complex I explained about as well. Needing to be better than another, need to have this sense of worth and value. And it's some of the same habit that happens with, what was it? It's just in general, this whole aspect of, competition. And to have that moral high ground. It doesn't really matter where the competition is, it'll affect multiple things. It's still stuck in the mind. Ones or zero. I need to compare to another person. Thus, you're not necessarily able to be fine with yourself. Always needing a reflection. That's why people like that, when it comes to manipulators as well, when it comes to gripe fest, gossiping, it's always this aspect of, okay, well, it kind of makes me feel better. Yeah, by comparison to the other. But once the other's not there, oh, I feel miserable. And then it becomes normal. So it's just literally to make clear, this ain't morals. This ain't fucking morals. This ain't even like church. This ain't like religion. It's not trying to get a moral high ground or bullshit. When you tackle this on, it's literally you leveling up because you love what you do. You love like learning more about yourself. You love growing, and you understand that, oh shit, I actually have control over my responses, my reaction. It comes from within. So if I react to something, it's not the other person, it's always within me. Again, granularity of our hard drive. We've just didn't really know, and then perpetually continue those habits of, oh shit, well, I'm going to react to what someone else does. Just like, depending on the parent, reaction to what the kid does, what you were doing as a kid. And again, this habit becomes often and often and often. But we're past that. We're trying to find different ways to understand this. And if you're the type of person that's continuously going over gossip and then not necessarily feeling well, you always have a choice. You just got to sit down and ask yourself the choice. And if you do not necessarily take it, then the patterns are going to repeat. You're going to find yourself repeating the same thing that you've said, the same drama that you've said a couple of months after. It's all in this aspect of repetition, mostly because when you talk about these things, you repeat it, you ingest that kind of shit, and it becomes normal for you to have that in your life. But again, go back to the point where you weren't at this point. Well, there wasn't all that repetition. And you weren't focused on that because of repetition. It's just like the conspiracy theorist type of analogy, where you start looking into that kind of material, you repeat, repeat, repeat. You're like, okay, there's got to be something out there. Your survival system just kicks in because it's like, okay, we got to pay attention to that, right? Definitely. Just like gossip. This person had this bad thing happen to them. I got to pay attention to that. I got to watch out for any of the aspects of it. Repeats, repeats, repeats. And then, okay, well, this is normal for me, right? The best thing, go back to your childhood, figure that stuff out. And again, whenever you want to take the time. I mean, ultimately, it's all on you, and that's the coolest part. It's a double-edged sword. Well, not really. Maybe it is, and it isn't. Fuck. It is, and it isn't. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because it's like, okay, well, you'd feel all alone to try this out or to figure things out, and in a way you are, in a way you aren't. Fuck, you see the multiple layers there? But it isn't because you're in complete control of it. Now, you're not necessarily alone because there's multiple people, multiple techniques, multiple practice, and multiple interpretation, which is fucking awesome. There's even a convergence of it all happening in various mediums, like artists talking about, artists, but other artists, various artists, so many artists, talking about these kind of concepts while they're doing their work on streams and various aspects of things. So, there is this kind of convergence of knowledge, and you're gonna get hit on the side by something that's gonna pop in your YouTube feed from an artist or someone else, a media person. Fuck, even Jim Carrey. For fuck's sake, Jim Carrey speaks about some of these things. It's like, geez, even Oprah. Like, so, it's there. There's multiple things that are there, so you're not alone. Don't call it GG game over, and do not call it hard. Do not fucking call it hard. Because you're going to make it hard in your head. Literally, it's that easy. When you keep repeating this for justification, and that's the thing. Childhood, when it came to justification, you're going to have to justify how hard you worked, man. I need to know. No! You don't need to give a fuck. You literally don't need to give a flying fuck about that exterior justification. It means nothing, because as soon as that exterior is gone or not even close, where are you going to turn for that justification, right? Get rid of that habit. It's all in your hand and in your head at the same time, You can control, you've got this, There's no need for justification as well. You, with your own granularity of fucking hard drive, are the only one that's going to understand the entirety of it to the degree and nuances that you did. So it doesn't fucking matter if you say hard. Some people are not even going to process that, or not even going to know how much you've perpetually repeated that to make yourself struggle. And words like that, you keep the repetition of it, just anchors it. And you gotta watch out. You gotta watch out for that. It's so easy for us to fall into that. Just like how, in a sense, when you visualize, you're able to do some really cool shit. Okay? And basic exercise by Tony Robbins. Stand up. Fuck it. Just gonna do it like this, okay? You're gonna stand up. You're gonna put your arm out, okay? You're gonna put your arm out. I don't know if I have that distance. And then you're going to see how far you're going to turn, okay? You mark it. You fucking mark it where you turn. Now, you close your eyes, okay? Keeping your foot straight, okay? You close your eye. Then you're going to repeat that exercise going at the same length. But you got to feel it. Literally just feel your arm just pulling, turning, getting to that same position, okay? You turned a certain amount of degree, you landed on a position, so you're going to repeat to that in your head, okay? Now you do this, and you try to feel it. This is really crucial, okay? Now you're going to do it a second time, still with the aspect of feeling, okay? And you're going to go 25% to 35% further in your mind, okay? So you're going a tad bit notch further, but you're feeling it as well, okay? Then you go back to center. Then you're going to do it a third time, and you're going to go 75% further. And don't even fucking let your mind get in the way, okay? Just do it. So you're gonna turn 75% even further. You're gonna try to feel it. You might even feel it clinch because you're trying to push it even further and you're trying to feel it. Okay. Now, fourth time, you go 100%. Just do it. Don't try to feel it that much because you can't really do the ow. But just try to see it in your mind and try to feel it a tad bit. Okay. You see yourself spinning and then doing that 100% turn, like as if you were an owl, like that crazy Japanese owl, and you try to feel it a tad bit, but not as much as the other one, okay? Because you don't want to do that. There's none of that, but it's you stand in that motion and you do it in your mind 4 times with increasing degree, okay? Now, you open your eyes, you do it again. Oh my God. You're able to go 10 to 25% even further. And you'll be able to increase it even further. Now you gotta ask yourself, okay, why? How the fuck did that happen? It's because you saw it in your fucking head. You pre-paved it. You seen it in advance. Same goes with art. Same goes with practical music. Same goes with various things that you can do. Like, if you've done the exercise, you'd kind of notice, oh fuck, a tad bit further. Huh, why didn't I get to that before? Well, a tad bit further, that's still a 15 to 25% increase. That's still a lot. Compared to none of that, you kind of have to realize, this is you repeating it in your mind and pushing it a slightly further after. What do you think that's going to do for everything else, If you repeat seeing drama, controversy, you're getting used to it. You're going to see the expansion of that. But if you see that, oh shit, you can actually plan and prepay various things in your life that will make you feel great. Whenever you ask those questions, what would feel better? What would feel greater? What would feel awesome? What would feel exciting? You start seeing it a tad bit. You can start doing that. It's not moral. It's you just taking control and just say, okay, fuck it, I'll do it. I can do that, or I can get distracted by some things that are not even in the present space right now. Some things that aren't even happening to me or you or whatever, with your own voice, like something that aren't happening to me right now, versus you can actually start pre-paving and doing the stuff that you actually want to do. Working on comics is has one of those methods. Working in animation, animators often do method acting to learn their character. Practically the same method. Repetition to get better at the drawing skill, but also at the acting. Acting as the character. Method actors, they repeat to hold their role, to be exactly the same. Jim Carrey, man. Whoa. People were calling him Andy while he was on set on Men on the Moon, and he would just respond. But wait, you're Jim Carrey. No, I practiced so much that I'm Andy Kaufman. I'll respond to it. I'll have the same mannerism. Repetition. You can use it to kick yourself sky high, So consider that. Really consider that. It's not some bullshit about moral high grounds. I got the high grounds, Anakin. Well, that worked. Immense powers from the high ground. It's a joke, but yeah, you kind of want to take that into consideration as well. It's because if you don't necessarily want to dive back in the mind with this aspect of the high ground. It's ones or zeros. You'll always need a comparison, and that's separation. So play with this. Just chill, play with this, ask questions. I'll be available to answer more of this, and possibly off to do some interesting projects now. Like, sure, there's been freelancing, there's been commissions happening, and it's been fine. But now I kind of want to get back into comics. I want to get back into animation, and it's trying to get a beat and a flow going for that. So, and not trying to get back. The ideas are just popping in. Now it's like focusing the channeling on that now. And who knows? There might be an extension to this. There might be more things coming in, but a lot of it is repetition, and repetition is key. But now it's like, okay, wow, the repetition is there. It's on the channel. That's it. That's it for now. Until there's another like big ass expansion of it. Like if I find a better a better than or an expanded version of the analogy of the computer. You being the person behind the computer, not the hard drive of all the memories, okay, and the processes and the functions created in that hard drives, okay. You're not even the OS in the hard drive. Your country and your parents and all that. You're not even the OS, okay. Your habits, your definitions, your wording, all that. You're not even that. You're not a hard drive. You're the person behind the hard drive. You can consciously select to, kick yourself into a higher gear and have a lot of passion with what you want to do, because that's about it. You kick yourself into high gear to continuously have passion in what you love to do. That's it. It's not a competition thing, because you're always going to be scaling to, what the other person is doing. No. You kick yourself into high gear in something that you really enjoy, and momentum just goes skyrocketing. Because your hard drive's not there, compared to that, or some other bullshit that you might be dealing with. No, you literally just flow, you enjoy. You don't even spend times in the media because you're like, oh, that's cute. It's just more stuff rotating in the mind that's trickling down because repeated cyclical behaviors. You're like, oh, that's that. It's nothing. You don't even reply to it because if you reply to it, it's still coming from you and you're getting involved in it. You don't even care. You understand how it got to that point. So you just focus on getting, going sky high, having that fun, clearing some of the stuff that goes inside. Because, that always, some of this stuff kind of pops in quite regularly and often. And you're chill with that because you're chill with everyone else. It becomes a universal thing. It doesn't really become a high ground or one versus the other. So it was really important just to set that up and kind of just hammer that message across. It had been a much more hard-hitting way because sometimes the brain just doesn't want to listen. Sometimes it's this aspect of repeating a certain momentum and it feels normal. And sometimes you got to tell yourself, hey, am I fucking with my life or am I taking control? And is that control a control I'm taking over me, or am I trying to take that over others? Because that is weak, pathetic fool. And the same goes for the type of people that will, need that control over others. They are weak, pathetic fools. Because ultimately, if you need the other, you need that 1 or 0 for comparison. Once it's out, you're done. And now you see a lot of online arguments, right? Now you see what often happens in online argument. Oh, and that's another thing. When it comes to words and texting, there's no nuances. So fuck it. Just realize it. Pay attention to that. There's no nuances to texting. Like, you're not going to get an intonation. You're not even going to get a callback or a catchback for when you spot that you've kind of, once you set up the mirror, the mirror exercise, and you kind of notice, oh shit, I wouldn't want really someone to say that to me. Okay, let me just correct it. At times it would take you a second, but in text, you've already typed it and entered it in. And the nuance might not even be taken or understood because people have different definitions and terms. So, it's like, really? Do I really want to pay attention to it, even though I can't necessarily decipher all the integrity and nuances? And the person might not even be writing that down. Imagine the blarb of text, like I said, last hour, blarb of text that it would need to describe all that compared to just talking vocally. See, that's where kind of you start noticing where things kind of just to a certain degree, but it was an experience to learn, because after a while you kind of notice, oh wow, so we're really not communicating that well. We have a surface level of communication, but you add that surface level with the surface level of our definitions depending on our regions, countries, and various things that we learned, and then personal experience, and you're like, oh, okay, whoa, fuck. That surface level is, well, meh. For expression, and especially if you're still stuck in the pattern of wanting to get to be fully understood, again, when it comes to gossip or just talking drama, wanting to be fully understood, needing to be fully understood, which is why the repetition is made, even though it's kind of like drinking poison and then passing it off to someone. Mental poison. Let's not go too far, but it's kind of like a mental poison. And of course, you don't know what you don't know, but especially in that habit of needing to be understood in your drama or whatever's kind of going on, well, text is not even going to get close, you know? And then there's the other aspect of listening. Text doesn't really let you do that because you're waiting for another text. You're not necessarily passively listening to a conversation and having a flow of back and forth of emotion, energy, and motion, you know? So there's various little things like that, and especially just noticing these things. You practice, and it's not, again, not moral high ground. You just clean whatever's going on inside, and if you kind of found yourself repeating multiple patterns, just clean it up. Take the time. You know, you're worth it. You're definitely fucking worth it. You're on this earth. And like I told you, just your existence causes a ripple effect. Just like that person that I spoken to and didn't necessarily want to get on the phone, I'm still grateful for that interaction because it got to receiving insights about this kind of stuff. So, like, at the beginning, it was kind of frustrating because I'm like, I hate typing on this tablet. Text screens. Yeah, but it's mostly because, you know, when you type a lot and you draw, yeah. But after a while, it's like, oh, wait, so I don't necessarily, this is not going to work, but insights came and it's like, okay, here's a video, maybe that's going to help. Maybe I can help you later on or when you kind of just break through that barrier, or maybe not, but everything's in your hand. That's it, that's all, you know? But texting just doesn't convey shit. But it's all in your hand. It's all in your hand, and you've got this. You've just got this. Just being here, man. You've already got this. All right, just looking at this kind of material, you've already got the interest. So you're gonna go through multiple things, gather knowledge, and not stick to one path, one method, one way. Ones and zeros. Remember? The all is part of the all. You take out whatever religious belief was saying one God, one method, one aspect. That's why they've been fighting. Still in the brain. Ones or zero. Mine or yours. Competition. And that never worked because most of the times people whenever they stray out those rules, stray. It's not even straying. It's just being natural. Rules that have been made for thousands of years for that context, well, they feel shit. Thus separating from themselves. Whenever they judge another person because of the one and zeros, still separation. So it's not moral high ground. Just have fun. Blitz into what you want. Just clear out the mind. Spot whenever it fucks with you. And multiple strategies, but another great strategy is basically get into your flow state, do something that you love, an activity that you love. Could be drawing, could be music, could even be dancing when nobody looks at. Doesn't matter. Use everything. Okay? And notice your thought speed in that kind of craft / activity versus regular. And then as you do that comparison back and forth, you're going to start noticing you're thinking much faster when you're doing the thing that you love. Now look at what factors are different. What kind of thoughts are different. What kind of mood is different. And you can transpose that. You can literally kind of take it and transpose it. It becomes a tad bit easier because you're like, okay, it's all in thoughts, moods, and the way I think about it all. So you can even do from one craft to another. If you're really good at piano and music, try and transpose it into art and look at your thinking pattern. If in piano and music you just flow, you just kind of go, and you love the aspect of, okay, I'm going to try this combination, I'm going to try that combination. Ooh, that sounded right. That sounded well. That sounded fun. That sounded a bit closer to what I wanted now. You know, you start getting into those nuances, transpose that into art. Because if you start spotting the critical mind, shoo it. Just do that. You know, transpose it. And you can take that kind of flow and apply it to everything else. Even cleaning up your room or planning to clean up your room, you know, because it's basically, okay, how would it look cool? What do I like about my setup, my environment? What would I prefer? What would make me feel fucking great? What kind of stuff can I put around that will make me feel like, yeah, you know, in the zone, depending on what you like. If it's anime stuff. If it's video game. If it's movie, it's movie. If it's your own art and craft, put the stuff that really resonates to you, the stuff that you really like, even pictures of it, you know? Like, you have choice. It's all about you asking yourself those questions and playing around in the aspect of what feels better for you, what feels great, what kicks you up a mood, what feels much more effective. You're the only one that's going to be able to answer that context because of your own granularity and nuances, So don't ever, you start seeing the pointlessness of finger pointing at everyone else. You begin to see the pointlessness of gossip. You begin to see the pointlessness of it, plus the shit repetition as it does. It's not higher ground. It's just that shit is pointless once you're in the flow state and you're constantly having fun. And guess what? That ripple of effect that you have just being born, it amplifies in a much better way because you're not repeating. You're not repeating trash or poison, You're not sending that repetition onto others so that they'd remember that and then stay in that mood. Take conscious control and play with that, That's, I gotta admit, that last line kind of slowly bridges a tad bit, close to the moral high ground, but it's not really. You're always in control and there's natural effects to that. So once you're conscious of it, cool. Don't fall back on what happened before. Now you're consciously aware of it, and don't be too harsh on you. It's a game. Old repetitions are going to take a certain amount of time before dying down. But after that, pooh! And it all depends on the time that you take for it. In that balance, if you need to do it quickly, 1 0 1 0. You're still in the brain. It's tricky, but you'll get this. You already internally got this, and you can always use the cheat code. How would it feel if I got it? And then you start that series of questions. If you're just going to stop at one question or two, GG, you're going to take it back. You press insert 25 cents and continue maybe in a couple of hours, if depending on your mood. Because the question is going to stop and sometimes it might just float away. Or if you get good at this, you'll just catch it and go, wait, I want to talk about that question again. But in a fun way. You'll find multiple ways. Hell, just putting music on, the music that you like, and just starting to get into this flow, and then asking yourself those kind of questions, You listen to a song that you like, you set up some kind of a mood that you like, a light, incense, whatever works for you. It all is in your context, okay? Yeah, that's pretty much about it. So, it's been awesome. Whenever something really big is going to pop up, I'll continue this, but yeah, it's time to get Extra Stage back. It's time to get that HD edition back, and maybe I could talk a bit about some of the processes that come into this, especially when it comes to channeling, because again, channeling is not a one thing that we've kind of learned from way back, meaning it's not the aspect of just, okay, I'm going to go into a trance, and the image that they've shown us before, because there are various states of it. Yes, there are states of trance and getting in and literally channeling a different entity or something else, or just switching. There's that kind of channeling, but there's also the channeling that you do when you do your craft. And you can look at method actors, kind of like that. They literally channel a different personality and identity, which is something that you can do. It's just playing, allowing yourself to do that and just playing with it. And then have fun. Just play with it. Note shit down. Be a bit more curious about your habits, your manners, and what you love, what you're passionate about, how it makes you feel, how the different degrees and nuances. And then roll. Just roll. There's no time to really pay attention to certain, let's say, situations that haven't really been in that context or haven't really set themselves up to be in a better context. You know what I mean? Whatever drama is happening with certain people, certain groups, or whatever, it's all the mind. You fully understand, because at that point it's like, oh shit, right. It's all coming from within. So whatever I fling poo at someone else. Anyway, rinse and repeat. That's it. You guys had enough repetition. You'll repeat it on yourself. Let's get some cool shit done. Have some fun. All right? And thanks again for all the comments. You guys have been wonderful. The insights that came. Woo! Awesome! This shit is cool. But once you do it, you're going to fucking love it. It's amazing. Maybe that could be another video. Maybe. Rinse and repeat, right? Thought speed. Just check out Gumroad, and you'll understand the whole thought speed increase. If you want more explanation, add some stuff in the comment. If you don't, perfect. Kick some asses. I'm expecting some ass kicking from you all. In you kicking ass exteriorly, not trying to round one fight me, because I got my Tekken gloves, as you saw on Instagram. Beta Tekken gloves. I'm getting the real ones at one point. You guys rock! Later, guys.